and we have a great show for you tonight. You're really going to be able to enjoy this. Now, we've got some wonderful guests on the show tonight. You're going to see the handsome Jalen at the end, who is ex-military. He is a professional. He just bought his first home. He's around 28 years old. He just bought his first home, so we're so excited about him. And we know he's going to do even more than that as life goes on with him. And then you have Amber, who is a licensed realtor, who's also my realtor. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then you got, of course, my right-hand man, Jeff, that's sitting right here with me. Now, this show is going to be important because we're going to be able to talk about the total individual, what's going on with us right now. You know the economy that we're living in. You know what's going on in this world, and what it is that we're going to do. One of the first things I want to do is I want to talk about where we need to be going from here as people, right? One of the things we need to understand is that you yourself is a business. You have a social security number. You got a birth certificate number. You're a business. Your house is a business. You went to a loan, whether it's a bank or some kind of loan institution. You borrowed money. You told them, I've got a down payment. You borrowed money. You pay now, and watch this, rent to the institution because you don't own it. Rent to the institution until you pay it off. Your house is a business, basically. If you used an exchange, which was money, which is the medium of exchange, property for money. All right, so your house is a business, you are a business, right? Everything about you is a business. So what we want to understand today is everything should just be business. Like nothing should be in your personal name. Everything should be in a business name. Everything from your car to your house, everything about you should be in the business name. And we're going to explain this and how it goes on, and especially those of us who are moving towards either you're in a partnership with someone, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a fiance, you have someone you want to become all those things. It's going to be important for you to understand everything that we're talking about tonight. So one of the first things I want you to understand is what is called LLC. An LLC is the way you organize a business. There's several ways to organize a business, to incorporate a business. One of the ways is an LLC. And that's really what you want to look at. You want to look at an LLC. You've got flexibility of how you manage that LLC. There's no board of directors that's required. You have protection because you're not personally responsible on the hook for business liabilities. Get taxed once or twice. You're free to choose which can help you maximize. But there are some drawbacks. LLCs can't go public. You got ongoing filing fees that you got to pay. And then there's what's called the S Corp, and that's unique. 100 shareholders is the max. It's better for smaller corporations. You're still not personally on the hook for the business liabilities. You're taxed once. Now, this is what I want you to understand. And then, of course, you have what is called a trust. Now, you become a manager of a trust. All right. This is going to be important. As you can see this easel over here. I want to do it this way. So I'm going to come down here, and I want to talk to you for a moment, and we'll get into some things. All right. Let's say you have an LLC. You have an LLC. Your LLC needs to be owned by the S Corp. Now, what you don't want to do is have LLCs on and the money on the LLC going on your taxes. So it needs to be owned by an S Corp. And then remember something, for safety, it needs to be owned by a trust. It needs to be owned by a trust that you manage. Even your bank account. We have a tendency to put family and friends on a bank account. If something happens to me, you are going to have to, you get the money out of the bank account. But remember something, legally, they are going to be taxed from here to hell because of that. And then there's probate, and there's all kinds of things going on with that. So you want to do an LLC that's owned by an S Corp because you want to save money on taxes. You want to be able to have the ability to manage that through a trust. You want to be able to protect yourself at all costs. So you don't want to just leave it in the LLC. You don't want to just do that. You want to turn it into an S Corp, and then you want to manage it by a trust. That's one. All right. you should have more than one trust. You need a trust for the company, you need a trust for yourself. Everything about you should go into a trust. It's the same thing if you have your personal homes. If something happens to you, your home, you got probate, you got taxes. If it goes into a trust, the trust is named by whatever, your woman, your man, your children, whatever it is, friend, and there it is. That's how you need to do things. Now, here, what we believe in maximizing life. Maximizing life is the way to do it this way. Let's say you go to Amber, who is your realtor. And this is a real life scenario for me because we really looked at 10 homes, right? $1 million scenarios going on because I can't buy just one thing. I've never been able to do that. I've always bought 2 cars. I always bought 2 homes. I always bought 2 of everything. In this age I am in, I like to buy 10. All right, let me tell you why we're doing 10. If you got 10 homes, let's say that those 10 homes is $1,800 a month. $1,800 a month times 12 is $216,000. Let's say you already have a $200,000 salary. Now you have $416,000. Now when you talk to your tax agent, what they're going to tell you is you got to learn how to have deductions and you got to learn how to have losses. The way wealthy people deal with things is debt becomes their friend. Yes. Now we've been taught against debt, but debt actually becomes your friend. They write everything off. You don't have enough deductions and you don't have enough losses, and so they write everything down. All right. The next step to this, which is going to be so important to everybody in this room, is what is called a universal life insurance policy, option 2, immediate cash value. Why? Because you become your own bank. So when you start paying on your policy starts to grow. Let's say I got a licensed insurance agent in the room. So somewhere around what, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years?
Depending on how you fund it.
How you fund it?
You're actually capable of having funds from immediately.
Immediately. All right, so immediate funds can happen. Let's say you want to buy a new car. I would suggest you borrow the money from your life insurance policy and buy the car. Remember, put it in your company name. So if you want to buy a car and you don't want a car note, you can begin to do it there. You want to put money down on a house, where would you put it from? You put it from here. So you're really building yourself a personal bank. Now, for me, I'm going to have a universal life option 2, immediate cash value, on me, boo-boo, little boo-boos, yep, and anybody else that's in my life. Because we're going to be able to pull for money the entire time. Now, this is the part that I want to get to you too. So remember what I'm telling you. You've got to learn how to live life a little differently than you've been living life. And in order to do that, you got to do your homework. A lot of people get into life, they don't do their homework. They don't look at anything, they don't study anything, they don't find anything out. You've got to do your homework. Now, Amber and I have been doing some business there before, houses, and then, moving towards closing, and then you get the term sheet from a finance company. Well, I found out something, guys. What I found out is Maryland is one of those states that's real tricky. Like, they can say, well, we're going to do 90% loan to value. You won't get 90% loan to value in Maryland. First of all, companies are not doing 90% anymore since the Silicon Valley scenario. They give you 85%. You're not going to get 85% in Maryland, though, because Maryland ain't got the sticky laws that go on, so you're only going to get 80. All right? So you got to have some cash on hands because you're only going to get 80. However, if you do a BRRRR, and that BRRR, in terms of financing, what happens is the $40,000 or the $40,000 or $50,000 you put out to get that home, immediately after you take the money that's been set aside to renovate the home, you can now have that same company refinance the home, pull the cash out immediately after you've done the equity, and now you're going to pay yourself back, but you still get to keep the property. So now you're going to get more money back, and you still get to keep the property. So again, you got to learn how to do homework. And so when I was on the phone today, I did call you. I called my realtor. I was like, hold on. Give me another finance person on the line because I want to make sure I got the best deal in the world. I had my term sheet. They were ready to finance my property. And I was like, hold on a second. Am I getting the best deal? And what did he tell me?
He said you are getting a very competitive deal.
A very competitive deal. In other words, bro, you better stay where you are. Stay where you are, and you better move through. And then I said, hey, do I have a BRRRR? I need to make sure I have a BRRRR. Do I have a BRRRR? because I want my money.
Yeah.
So do I have a Burke, right? Like, hold everything up. Let me do my homework real quick. Let me get somebody else on the phone. I call it a traditional lender. And I asked a conservative traditional lender, what am I doing?
Mhm.
And when they gave me that, and you said, move forward, we're ready to move forward, right?
Yeah.
So these are the things in it. You got to find an agent, though, that understands you, understands your goal, and help you move towards your goal. Amber was an agent that helped me move towards my goals and always make sure my goals were there. That was quite sexy, too. I do want you to know that.
Thank you.
As a man, know that a woman's going to look out for me the way you was looking out for me. All right, I
What
wouldn't
about
trade
you,
you.
Jalen? You know, Jalen and I, we just closed on your property in end of January or
No, it was in March.
in March. So, oh wow. So recently, we just closed on your property. I was your agent. How did you feel about it?
It was a great process, honestly. You know, when I first came to you, I had an idea as far as like going the Airbnb route, and then as we went through the process, those changed, and it was very flexible process. You know, I was very open-minded. You definitely gave me all the information I needed to have, so I think it was a great process.
All right, so you see two people went to Amber to get their property. Jaden closed on his property, has his property, working on his property. Now, Jaden, you had a visit with me too, as a coach. How was that experience for you? You came and asked me about LLCs and moving, LLCs and what do you do? Well, how was that experience with you?
I think it was a good experience.
No, be honest. When you first came to the door, how was the experience?
It was a good experience. You know, so I think it's some things that the way that went, a lot of people need, because you read me fulfilled as soon as I walked in the room. And one thing that still sticks out to me from that conversation, you took the call, and you was just trying to read how I would react. You was trying to see how I was.
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I had a couple of business calls, and I took the call while he was sitting there. I wanted to see if he was going to be impatient. I wanted to see would he occupy himself. I wanted to know what his actions were going to be, because if I work with someone, I need to be able to work with you. But there was a couple other tests too that I did in terms of his goals, and he said, "Oh man, you're sharp. You read me right away." Absolutely, right? That's what I do. That's what I do. So you got the coach side and the therapist side. So you got
And the parent side.
and you got all those sides on that. Jeff, you told me today that you've been in a meeting about this very same thing. So
I'm working on getting my LLC.
we're gonna get your LLC, and you were hearing some of the same things that we're hearing now
Yes, yes.
about how to organize.
The universal life and the option two. I'm going to check on that tomorrow.
You can check on that tomorrow. All right, there we go. All right, so we're moving forward. Now I have goals. I have to operate a particular way, but I'm going to say this: you're always one person away from meeting your goal. You're always one person away from $1 million. I said it to Amber.
Yes.
One person away, because you were going to do something else.
I came to you, Dr. James, about 2 years ago, and I said, Dr. James, I'm thinking about going back to school, which I said I never wanted to do again. And yet I felt like I was in a place in my life where I wasn't what I knew I was meant to be.
Right.
And so I said I was thinking about coming to school to do either life coaching or real estate. And he was like, real estate. Yeah.
So my job is to coach people into what really is going to work for them. Like, what's going to work for them? It's being able to read them, to understand them, to work with them, and to walk all the way through. And so she followed through with the recommendation and suggestion, and it turned out wonderfully, right?
I mean, I when I say I love it, thank you so much, Dr. James. I've told you many times, I'm super grateful for you. I've known you now for 4 years.
4 years.
And I'm just so grateful that you come into my life. I am not the same woman that I used to be at all, and I'm just grateful. Thank you.
I'm grateful to have you too. I'm glad that we'll be able to stick together, which again brings us to this point. You got to know how to recognize who is needed in your life. So your life revolves around your relationships. Yes.
I want to say also 2 years ago, I was looking at the 5 people who I spent the most time around. and just paying attention to those conversations. And I can honestly say in my immediate circle, I was the one that's pulling everybody up. So I was the end all and be all, and I didn't have anybody really pulling me up to the level or above my level, pulling me up. And so one of my affirmations was that I was open to meet the right people in my life. And so recognizing that is a really big thing.
It's a really big thing. You got these two strong men right here, and it seems like they're always the center of everything and pulling everybody and doing everything for everybody and people looking at you. How do you guys feel about what we just said?
I agree with that. You know, it takes a lot. You know, attention. It's draining. It can be draining, and then you have to get your cup filled as well. So I mean, it can definitely take a lot for one person to have be employed in so many different ways.
Yeah, you don't want to go home and just pour everything on your woman either. Right? That'd be unfair, right?
Exactly.
You got to be able to balance that out and get some feedback. But you also don't want her to be responsible for feeding everything back into you either.
Right.
And there's some energy she will give you, but then there's some energy she just can't give you.
Right.
And the problem is sometimes it'd be unfair to the woman because you want her to do more than what she really needs. Like she can't be mom, right? She can't always be your accountant. She can't always be a bunch of things. And sometimes, you know, even though could be your greatest cheerleader, she's not your mentor, right? And she's not the place where you go and spend a good amount of time being empowered. Because what you got to do now is go home and bring power to your home. So whatever you get, wherever you are, you become whoever you spend time with. And then you go home and you empower her. You guys agree with that?
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff?
That's true. I mean, as a black man, I think you also need to have therapy.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have said that 3 or 4 years ago. So it gives me someone else to talk to, and you know, to have another outlet that's unbiased as to how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And also, if I do have a woman, it gives me a chance to talk to her, and kind of have some balance and not put everything on her.
Yeah, and when you do talk to your significant other, you don't want to talk at them.
Yes.
You want to be able to communicate on a different level. So most people just have a conversation. Remember, conversation is just trading opinions and thoughts. You never get anywhere. You will get worn out and tired having conversations, right? So what you want to do is you want to move to a place of agreement, which means the two of you are thinking on the same line. And what happens is your partner, your woman or your man will start saying to you, pointing out aspects in agreement of, hey, but let's make sure we do this. And let's make sure we cover that. And then, or I'll do this and you do that. And so you're moving in sync, you're moving in unity, and it's not such a struggle.
But that also requires, as a man, that you be vulnerable enough to want to share that information.
Yeah, and as a man, you need a vision.
You gotta have a vision.
And a purpose.
you
And
wanna
a
be able to
purpose.
share it.
Yes, absolutely.
No matter how stupid it may sound, you want to share it, and you want to hope that she's receptive to hearing you and maybe helping you along.
Yeah, being able to partner. Now, one of you is always going to be holding something down while the other one is doing something else. And you want to make sure you have somebody who's able to hold you down while you're doing something else. You know what I mean? And if that's not the case, then we got some issues going on. Yeah.
I want to say sometimes as when we're in a relationship, sometimes we spend so much time chasing our partner or staying under them, or maybe sometimes it's loving and sometimes it's insecurities and issues where you can't see past that to focus on your goals.
Well, you know what? Sometimes what we're really looking for? Strength and
Validation.
comfort. Well, validation is part of it, but a woman can't validate a man. And you're looking for comfort and you're looking for strength. Well, what if they're weak while you're weak?
Right.
You still don't have a water hole to go through.
No.
And as he said, you're not vulnerable enough to go to someone and say, hey, I need you this way,
Right.
and be okay with saying it, right? And then you got these false religious beliefs that keeps people from being over there.
Right.
I'm going to be talking about that too, because you know there's a story with Jesus is washing feet, but before he did that, he jumps up, he takes all of his clothes off, he has nothing but his underwear on. Now we're not supposed to show our bodies, and Jesus violated because he took everything off right then and there.
I mean, Jesus
And
violated
and
so
wrap-
much.
and wrap the towel
Like,
around
that's
himself.
the case.
wrapped the towel around himself, and then proceeded to wash feet. Now, if he had a woman and all he had was a towel on, she probably would have been mad
Ooh, it would have been bad.
because he's washing other people's feet, especially women. He's washing other
How
people's
would you
feet,
feel
and
if
you
a
see the
woman-
body.
A woman was in the wrapping the towel washing somebody's feet. Exactly. So keep that energy.
Jalen looked at both of y'all like, y'all got problems.
See, Jalen, you ain't been on the other show.
I didn't even get into that.
Because you look like.
Jalen was like, for real, y'all?
Jeff, my buddy.
That's how I look, for real.
Nah.
Jeez.
That's how you look before. I love you.
I always ask Jalen, what does that smile mean, man? Because he gave you that
I don't
kind of
know.
smile
Isn't
like,
that beautiful?
It's funny, but I'm about to get you. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to figure out what smile you talking about. I don't know.
But sometimes he'll make a sound. I be like, Jalen, what's that sound for? You're like, no, you mean that.
I think sometimes men don't like you to read them, right? He just said that. Sometimes men don't like you to read them. Now, I'll put on extra because you don't want me to read you, so I'm going to be extra. I was extra, right?
No, I don't. Honestly, I thought you were just being you.
I am.
Okay.
That's
He
just
was.
me.
He was.
That's really me in real life.
No,
You
for
got
real.
the real me.
Can I say something? I love Jeff. Jeff, when I say Jeff,
He's always in the hot
Oh
seat. Go
my
ahead.
God.
no. One thing I love about Jeff, and if I can be really honest, and I'm being really sincere, is Jeff is always honest with
Too damn honest.
with the questions when you ask him a question. Jeff doesn't just tell you what you want to hear. Jeff is really going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. And I really like that about you, Jeff.
Thank
Now-
you, ma'am.
You need something.
No, for real.
I think what we need to do is a one-stop shop. Like, credit, realtor,
Real
finance. You need all of that. You need a one-stop shop. So what we set out to do is actually build that.
Yeah.
A one-stop shop.
Jeff is actually a realtor as well.
Yeah, he's
I
been a
know-
licensed realtor.
I know Dr. James probably didn't say it because I'm on the show and I know that I'm the realtor here, but I want to shout out Jeff too. Jeff is a realtor and actually he's actually thinking about coming to Keller Williams Preferred Properties, so I'm excited. to be
Listen,
with
we
him.
got a super team going on. That's why you guys are sitting here, because it's a super team.
Yeah.
Now with Jalen, that's a sharp young man right there.
I mean, I
you
appreciate
got to invest in people who are younger than you. If you don't have anybody who's younger than you, then you didn't do your job, right? And so, to me, he has that $1 million smile, and he has that billionaire mind. All right, so you need somebody who's sharp and step with you. You need somebody again who's really going to hold you down, right? You got to be able to trust the person. So we're not transferring information and feeding information into a Jalen, then we're not doing our job. I think I'm older than Jeff, but I think Jeff will say the same thing. That it's the next generation. He's old enough to be our son. So those are the kind of things we want to do. And so you hold them on to them tight. And you don't let them go, and then you let them understand too that some people have not been exposed enough.
I was going to say give them experiences and introduce them to.
Experience and exposure. Right? You got to have experience and exposure, and you got to teach them more than what they already know. But here's the thing: I always say, I can tell what you want is by not only your tenacity, it is by your aggression. Like I shouldn't have to be reaching out to you. That's your job.
Exactly.
And if I got to reach out to you, then we're not going nowhere. You got to make that make sense. All right, so I'm going to go to this board again because this is going to be important.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't.
You can't. And remember what I'm telling you about relationships. Relationships, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Relationships are very powerful. They're key to everything. The biggest problems that most of us have in life is what? Relationships. whether it's work, whether it's marriage, whether it's family, whether it's friends, or not having friends.
Everything.
It-
It's either having them or not having them.
Even with yourself.
Relationship.
Sometimes the relationship you have with yourself is also a problem. All right, now here's me. This is actually me. This is actually me. This is how I have to operate. This is how I have to move. Right? These are the things that has to happen. I need to get my phone for a minute.
Yeah,
All right, let me stand on this side a
There
minute.
you go,
All right, thank you for reminding me. Now this is going to be important. I'm going to take that 2,739, and I'm going to divide that by 8. That's going to be $342. And I'm going to round $342. I'm going to round that off. $343. All right. So we talk about an hour. How much is an hour of your time?
Dr. James, I was in school, and when I was studying, because it was so intense, real estate was like learning a new language, right? When I talked to my friends at that time, they can tell you, I would call them and say, you have 15 minutes. Because I was so busy and I was so focused. And that right there, time is money.
How much is my time? All right. I actually went to real estate school, but I also took up real property development in college. So I had guidance. I was so happy to have guidance. In college, I had guidance, and this lady came to me, the dean came to me, and she said, John Paul, I have a program that's going to be wonderful for you. It was in addition to my degree, and so you get these certifications. So I did HR, and I did real estate development. So when I started coming out to do work, it was easy for me because, again, the training's already there. But I also went to real estate school, and then I also took the course to be a financial officer. So when people talk to me, I understand what you just said because I already took the class.
You know the
To
knowledge.
be a finance officer, and then you talking about real estate, I already took the class. I just didn't want to be a realtor. Right? I just wanted to be an investor. But I'm going to do my homework before I go into anything. All right, here it is. $1 million a year. This is the goal. That's $83,330 a month. That's $19,230 a week, which is $2,739 a day, which means for an hour, that's $343.
I need a screenshot.
Now you need to be able to do this. You need to be able to do this. Let's ask people. You need to be able to do this. Now, if you were selling products, this is very possible.
Okay.
If you were selling real estate, this is very possible. If you was providing a particular service, all the services I do,
Absolutely.
that's very
Awesome.
possible. All right? So everything is about time management, everything's about relationship, and everything is about your goal and who you're connected to. All right? So if I've got multiple businesses and in multiple states, then of course we're going to work by goals. That's all it is to it. Now, one thing about people who operate in a $1 million mindset or a $1 billion mindset, they think differently. They think differently, they feel different, and if you make, some people do make $100 an hour, some people make $150 an hour, so you're just about there. But we're talking about being able, we're talking about being able to make $343 an hour. How would I do that? Passive income
Yes.
plus my regular job. If you got passive income plus your regular job, income that you don't have to work for, and again, that takes some mentoring, it takes some sitting down, and it takes some talking to. One of the things that, people say, you say Jeff a lot. One of the things I recognized when Jeff came into my office was the kind of guy he was. The kind of dude he was. That's the kind of dude you keep with you. When you keep with him, you get with him, and you guys build.
Right.
Right? You make that in reality in all of your lives. Now imagine what happens if we're sitting there and there's Jeff's 343 an hour. Here's my 343 an hour. Just imagine what we're able to do with you, Amber.
And with my 300 and how much? $43. Hold on, we out the game.
No, what you do is,
And I will do that with all of us. Yeah.
well, what you do is, again, you talk about passive income. So let's just say the team. All right. So then I would give Jalen an assignment. This is part of the business that you're going to run,
Right.
because we don't work for under $1 million a year. So this is your portion, because that's not what we do.
No.
All right. Now, when you got multiple people, you want to try to make that thing more than $1 million. But I want you to understand this very well. So if I'm actually a nutritionist, which I am, an actual therapist, which I am, and we talk about being a mediator. See, this in just being a mediator, I'm like $300 an hour, right? $300 an hour. I'm already $300 an hour just on one thing as a mediator.
Right.
So there are a few things that, again, be able to do. So people say, why do you do so much? Because I have a goal. Why do you have so many certifications? Because I have a goal. Now, who is around me drives me.
Mm.
Do they have the energy for me? Do they have the love for me? Do they have, the trading of the energy that pumps them, that makes them do it? Again, how are you organizing your life? Who are you with? Who are you spending time with? What are you guys talking about? What's going on? You guys want to talk back to me? What do you think?
I think for me, in the past, I've spent a lot of time in the past.
Okay.
And
What does that mean?
what does that mean? I spent a lot of time talking just about the negative things in my life, or my problems, or what I went through, instead of focusing on my purpose,
Mhm.
my goals, what I wanted in life, what I wanted to achieve, from what my mindset.
So take it to an everyday situation. So something happens in your life that day.
Ring, ring, ring.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, guess what happened?
No.
Oh.
Let's paint a real picture, because you did something. No, paint a real picture because you did something with me on a Saturday. Remember? I was like,
Oh,
forget him,
okay.
forget them. I'll pay somebody else.
How about
Remember?
that?
I was just going off, right? I'll pay somebody else. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you said what?
After 12 midnight, by the way, on the phone, texting, because he wouldn't answer, because he was upset. And it wasn't, I didn't have anything to do with this. It
No, you
wasn't
didn't.
about me. So I just told him that I know he was going to make the best decision for him. And I implored him to get the home inspection, and I understood that he was frustrated, and that just, focus on that, because getting that inspection saves you how much money?
Like what? 7,000 per?
No. First of all, the 4 homes,
Oh.
that saves you hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
you saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And then
But you wanted me to use your guy.
Yes, and Dr. James and my guy, shout out to Trevor, the inspector. He's not here, he should be. He is amazing. Trevor walks you through, he's very detailed, he has all the technology, and he does the report so fast, he gets back to me.
Jeff, he uses a drone. He don't even go on the roof. He just uses a drone. The drone goes on the roof. The drone goes in the back.
Wow.
He uses a drone. It goes all around the house, and then he shows it, and then he comes back. Then he takes you down in the basement, and he be poking and pulling things, bruh. There were houses. I was like, I'm walking away. I want this.
Jalen used Trevor too, right?
Yeah, two properties that I was looking at too.
Oh, you gotta have Trevor.
Yeah.
How was your experience with Trevor?
Trevor was amazing. For the first property, there was a lot going on. It was a 2-unit property.
Termite damage and structural damage.
Yeah, just too much money to put into.
He did that same thing to me. And when I came to meet him at the property, Amber said, "Just think, he was about to fire you last night." Trevor's like, "What?"
I wasn't fired. Didn't even speak to him.
Look,
The emotion
you know I got a
sometimes.
strong personality.
Yeah.
I was like, "Listen, I don't care nothing about him.
He didn't know him. He was like,
I don't know him, and I don't care.
Mhm.
Like, get rid of him. I'll get somebody else." And she was like, "Before you do that, Dr. James,
I'm so
can you
sweet.
just listen to what I have to say? Let me just get back to you. And if I get back to you, I think things should work itself out, okay?"
Are you talking like that?
I'm
That's
talking
what
about
me.
Amber.
That was
Okay.
what
I just wanted to make
Did you
sure.
think that was me? I didn't think that was me. Okay. That's just.
Hey, look, I remember leaning back on my sofa. I was like, "Oh, okay. All right, baby, you got it."
I think I
Look, she turned into my wife for a second. I borrowed somebody else's wife.
I probably turned into Jalen's wife. a
She
couple
turned into my,
times.
literally, that's how your wife be talking to you. Like, baby, don't be upset. Just wait a second.
Mhm.
And it's gonna work. Let me make the phone call. I need a woman like that. Like, no, you make the phone call because you know I'm angry.
I'll handle it.
So she handled it. And I leaned back on the sofa. I remember I leaned back on the sofa and started looking at the TV. And I let her do it. And I got up that morning and I showed up. It was the best decision that.
And I'm so happy and grateful, honestly, because sometimes when we are upset, we don't hear people. And I told you that I was so grateful that you were able to hear me in that moment.
Well, I would be a terrible therapist if I can't hear and I tell somebody else to hear. I always tell people,
Yeah.
listen to my voice, so that when things go on and then I get a phone call.
And I couldn't even get your.
and listen
I
to my
couldn't
voice.
even talk to you, so it's all through text.
That Amos rubbed off on me. That time, you just didn't want to talk. That Amos rubbed off on me.
Oh, you did
You
that?
become who you spend time with.
Amos, get your. I blame you, Amos. Damn, it's your fault.
Who did it, Amos?
Mhm.
Not even there.
Amos ain't even know
No,
about it.
this is real life. You guys know that honestly, that was just what I just said. You actually turned into the woman in my life, that did that. Not just a woman, but even if you were a dude, you would have turned into my dude at that
Right.
particular time because I can hear your voice.
Right, I think a lot of times people don't realize realtors are just more than your realtors. I've been a babysitter. I have
You
been a
did babysit
friend,
me, but you bought me some fries and then you didn't give them to me.
but I warmed them up in the microwave for you, didn't I?
Still, she called me on the phone. I'm on my way to meet her, and she says, "Dr. James, we're gonna take a break, and we're just gonna go get something." And she said, "Do you want something?" And I said, "Probably some large fries, whatever she's getting." Amber had the fries. Trevor had to remind her, "You didn't give them the fries."
I remember. I was like, oh shoot.
It was a microwave in the house because
Thank
it
God.
was a renovated house and people were
Yes.
home, and so she did give me my fries. I couldn't drink the soda though, but she gave me the fries, and so I was able to be pacified. So you did pacify me. I should have had the fries, but I took the fries
Yeah.
anyway. Jeff is my dude because Jeff got me to do things that I wouldn't normally do.
Right.
Because I got on a plane with Puerto Rico, I wouldn't have done that. I'm saying
Jeff.
Jeff was like,
Jeff,
"Don't think about it another time."
where was my invite though? But where was my
You like
invite?
planes?
I do like planes. However, if I don't know you,
Thank you, Pete.
I'm a little skeptical, and I'm going by myself. I never been there before. It's going by myself, and it was like what? It wasn't like we took a long time. It wasn't planned. It was, it wasn't planned, but also to just be able to do things like go places, go out, like go out of your comfort zone
Having
and
experiences like
have an
this.
experience. But the thing that does it is, again, if somebody's there, that you can be able to trust. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are or how unintelligent you are. Everybody needs somebody. I think we gotta get to the point where you realize that you need people in your life. All right, now, what are you guys saying to yourselves about how you're gonna do with yourself after all this discussion? What do you think? What is your takeaway?
I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to be diligent, and I'm going to do my homework, and I'm going to get with people who know more than me.
These we vetted all those properties. They took us through. They took us through everything, Jeff. All the properties. Trevor took us through the properties. We chose the best ones. And for my clients, I wanted to make sure they understood and watched me. So we videoed everything and watched me go through. So as I suggest things and recommend things, they're able to take that and move along with it because we went through everything. We did our homework.
We did.
And I want my friends and clients to have the best. I want them to have that. And in order for them to have that, if I want that for my friend, then I've got to set my friend up and be like, hey, here's the door. This is how you go get it. You want your friend to increase. You don't sit and watch your friend and wonder, if they're gonna do it. You help them get there.
Right.
That's what you gotta do. So what's your takeaway, Jalen? What's it gonna be?
Definitely. Well, before I answer that, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you spoke earlier about being and having your hands in different things. So for people that do want to be similar to you, I know I do because I know I have aspirations to be in different businesses or whatever. But with working with all these different businesses, how do you balance yourself?
That's a great question. Do you get burnt out? Sorry, Judge. Do you get burnt out?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, he gets burnt out. I don't know how you do it myself. I've been asking that question myself.
I can say
What?
Dr. James has a lot of help.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Relationships. I can say that the people who are surrounded by him really take care of you.
Now, Amos gets the beating,
I know.
but he will go ahead and he will go ahead and do that work, or he will get me on the phone.
Yeah, I will say that, working with you, I've had to work closely with Amos as
Yeah.
well. And Amos has really, I know it was a lot because it was 10 properties at one time to organize everything. So, I definitely gave Amos credit for that.
So his wife is my scheduler. You have to make sure I'm at point A and at point B, and if I'm at A and I don't want what's going on at A, then you need to shift that.
Right.
So to answer your question, I use people to make sure that I have everything I need when I walk through the door. Right, so if I walk through the door, I have everything I need. I don't go places where things are not already arranged. If it's not already arranged for me, I can't handle that. So that's how I'm able to keep the ball rolling. Like I may go to my Virginia office in the afternoon. So a couple days a week I'm in Virginia, a couple days a week I'm in Maryland. Now we're at the point where I'm going to be flying out to my Florida office. So every other week I'm here in the area, or I may be in California, or I may be in Texas, depending on what's going on. But everybody around me has a responsibility. So what you got to do is you got to let people play a role. Whatever their role is in your life, let them play a role. And you also have to remind them that they have a role. Can you do that?
I need to add. Can you select someone for me on that?
Yeah, you need an admin.
Yes.
Now, having an admin, having again people that walk with you. There are things already done. Like again, Jeff is an organizer. So if he has an event, everything is organized before you get there. So I never have to wonder where things are if I'm going to go to an event that Jeff has sponsored. Those kind of things are there. And then it's the thing about respect. You gotta have respect. So if we're in, I don't know, we could be in a church setting, he understands that setting, and so he works with me in that setting. If we're in a professional setting, he'll work with me in a professional setting.
He knows that you wear different hats.
Right, and if it's just he and I'm just John Paul, I'm just John, then he's able to handle that. And then in the next room, I'm Dr. James, and he can switch that hat quickly and allow me to be Dr. James. So don't be with people who can't respect you.
So answered, I guess, the second part, well, I took part of that. So Jalen's overall question, though, was the fact that, how do you manage it all outside of having the help from the from your children?
Me being goal oriented, and me being disciplined enough to deal with that. Like I'm not married, but there are women who may want to spend time with me. I can spend time. Jeff is laughing, because he understands. I can spend time, but she needs to understand your time is over, baby. I gotta go. Right? We don't have a problem. You gotta go. You gotta go. Or I gotta go.
So sorry.
3:43 hours.
She ain't got 3:43 an hour. You know you need to go, cause you ain't got 3:43 an hour.
First of all, I am not condoning that. I'm not condoning marriage, ladies. I do not agree. You should not be paying no threesome.
No, I'm more than that.
Please don't.
Wait a minute. That's too. Hold on a minute. That's
You're
gonna-
way worth.
Oh yeah, that's
you're way-
insulting.
And yet, I know you as a man, you would not expect that. So that's what I was trying to say.
No, let me say something else to you.
Judge, you expect?
Let me say something else to you.
Oh.
No, this is also
I'm
important.
sorry. Go ahead.
It's also important. It's going to be very important.
Mhm.
If you're around people who are cheap, you have a problem.
Right.
If you're around people who don't treat you well, you have a problem.
Correct.
Because some days your friend may tell you, "Don't worry about paying. I
Oh,
got it."
absolutely.
Then you do the same thing. But then later on, you give them, if you make such a super situation for that person, it pays for what they put in. Remember, all of us are investments.
Right.
Your relationships are investments.
And it's not just financially.
It's
it can
time,
be- it
it's
can
money,
be-
it's mental.
It,
But remember something.
Inspirational.
Wherever you put your money,
Mhm.
that's where your heart is.
That's true.
So when people say, well, it's not just about money, I cringe. Wherever your money is, that's where your heart is. That's a
true.
principle.
That's true.
That they teach you that in church.
Yeah.
All right, that's a principle. So that's a non-negotiable situation.
Right.
That
I mean,
brings to
when
the
it-
point where you gotta, again,
Mhm.
we're not helping people learn how to be with us.
Right. What I meant was like with your significant other. If you had if you were courting a woman, that's what I meant by that. That's all about it.
She's gonna be very conscious of who I am,
Oh, absolutely.
and in being conscious of who I am, she's gonna help me be who I am.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she'd be like,
Then
she'd
she
be
might sometimes give him the 3 months.
that might be a little sexy for me.
You might give you the 3. You know
She
what
might
I'm
be
saying?
baby, just take
Say,
a
let me
moment.
give you that 3.
Yeah, that might be that might
Sorry,
encourage my
Jalen,
little
my
heart.
bad.
That might encourage my little heart. Everybody
you
needs a little
might-
heart.
you
encouragement.
might- you might
Don't
feel
be
a little-
surprised tomorrow if you get a couple of 3:45.
His DMs will be like, his DMs 343. These are
It's 43 hours, bro.
Right.
You need to play that. I need to play that number. We got 343.
and
That's like a
and again, Jaden, have fun whatever you're doing. So I'm gonna give you the biggest key is be with people that you can have fun. You can work with them, but you need to have fun and don't have limitations. If you're a person with limitations, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this, I don't want to do that, I don't have limitations like that. I open myself up because I'm here to spend time with you, and when I leave you, I'm leaving empowered, prepared, ready to go. Part of my job is listening to people, so I don't have a lot to say about my problems, but I want to spend time with people who help me laugh and comfort and love and hugs and all that kind of stuff too. So as long as those kind of things going on, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, you, sir, are one of those people who will have that in their mind, and you're going to make that work. That's what I know about you. That's what I felt when I first met you. That you're gonna be able to make that work, and so that's the goal. Those are the things you want to do. Now that may not be your goal for all of you who are there. That may not be what you want. Write yours. Whatever it is that you want to see happen in your life, then you need to write that down, and you need to make sure you follow what you have put in your heart to be able to do, so that you feel good about what you're doing. Right?
Can I say something too about Jalen? I told Jalen this before. I tell him this all the time. He probably gets tired of me saying this, but I'm just so super proud of you, Jalen. Like, you're you're so very young. You're 28, and I really felt strongly that your mindset is incredible. You are going to be amazing. You have so much potential that I'm so happy that your mind is open and you said yes, and that you used me as your agent, and that you went ahead when the opportunity came, and you're here. So I'm just so proud of you.
Now, if you guys looking for a trainer, remember Jalen.
For sure.
Jalen, you stand up, Jalen.
Yeah, stand up, Jay. Let them see all that.
For sure though.
No, wait.
That's a big boy right there now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so he'll be able to certainly be able to help you get where you want to go. So if you want to look for a great trainer, remember his name. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Jane, for coming. Thank you, Jeff, for being there. I want to say thank you to Tamara, who's here tonight in the audience, and thank you, Veronica, who's here tonight in the audience, and thank you, Vicky, who's here in the audience. Vicky is the licensed insurance agent, and we talk about the bank all the time. She reminds me that, Dr. James, these are the things you need to do. If you need that program that I just talked about, where you're building a bank, you need to look Vicky up. And Vicky will be great in terms of moving you towards your particular goal in terms of setting up your personal bank. So everybody around me plays a role, and everybody around me is a business person, and everybody around me gets it going. Tamara makes sure that my hair looks the way it looks
My hair too.
and keeps things going. She did her hair too. So you're looking for someone who's be able to take care of your natural hair. You want to look up Tamara as well. Give a shout out to her.
Yes.
Look her up on Facebook. What is that? Tamara Clark. Look her up on Facebook, Tamara Clark, and hit her up. Get that hair done. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be good. All right. Till next week. We'll see you.
Tamara, you gonna give me the Dr. James book?